Hip Hop Radio Talk Show. We're here for another weekend, and my name is Jonathan Alston. I haven't been here for a while, so I'm like, hey, what's going on? Shout out to Ed Riley and his wonderful wife Kim, because they're not here this week, but huge shout out. We have a wonderful show this evening. We have some real, like Congressman Payne. This is the Payne Report, but Congressman Payne is not feeling well, so he has called his good friend Donna Williams, Donna K. Williams, the Honorable Donna K. Williams, because everyone in all of Jersey knows who Donna K. Williams is. She is a wonderful councilwoman from Orange. She is substituting for Congressman Payne on the Payne Report. We have also our co-host Asia Norton here, and we have the best DJ in the entire universe, DJ Rhino, always in the back.
That's my DJ.
So we're starting the show off, and I'm gonna have the Honorable Donna K. Williams start to introduce our guest and our topic. But before we do that, just one huge disclaimer. All Politics Are Local is a community radio program. Anything that we do, anything that we say, everything that we say does not in any way represent Rutgers University. It only represents the voices and the opinions of the people who speak them. And so, Donna K. Williams, the Payne Report, welcome.
Thank you. So we're here, Congressman Payne. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to sit in your stead. Our guest is from the Institute of Social Justice, Patricia Williamson, and she's with the Institute of Social Justice, and she's on the. You want to put the earphones on? To working with the census, and first, again, we're thinking about our congressman not feeling well, and I know he's had some heavy days down in D.C., so we want to keep him in our thoughts and lifted, because we know that the mental, everything that's going on, from the hearings to the voting, and they just had their session, a session with the Congressional Black Caucus on Tuesday, and then the reason we're here today with Patricia is because they had an emergency meeting about the census as the census is rolling out. Patricia, you've been around all last year talking about 2020 is coming, but 2020 is here now. And Asia, you're in the schools, and I went to a community meeting today, and this rollout, and I went to a community meeting of the wisdom in our community, and the wisdom of our community said they were waiting for people to walk, to knock on their doors. So some of the things that I believe that were highlighted while I was at the meeting, I did read the article, that there were concerns in terms of the rollout and the messaging. I will tell you from my community meeting, when is it not coming at my door? That was the first thing. It's like, there's nobody knocking at my door. So in terms of the census, I worked for the census probably back in the 80s, and that was the first thing to knock on the door, but we're here many years later, 2020. So what is the first point of contact for a person to fill out the census?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me here, Councilwoman Williams. And yes, welcome to 2020. We have options. Okay, so we have a lot of options now. So the last option is actually for someone to come to your door. We have 3 options now available to us. The first one, for the first time, the census is going to be available online. Secondly, after the internet, it will also be available by telephone. And thirdly, if you wait a little while longer, it will come to you in a paper form, which is a traditional way you can fill it out. But the internet is the brand new one, and that postcard, there's going to be an invitation coming to your house roughly in a few weeks, actually. March 12th or 13th is when those come out. The lines go up for the phones on the 13th of March, and April 1st is Census Day. And by that point, we're hoping that everybody takes the census ahead of time. So then at that point, no one will have to come to your door to get the questions answered.
Okay. So if somebody's at your door, it's because you haven't done A, B, and C.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So so for people who don't like people coming to their door.
That's right.
Do A, B, and C.
Do A, B, or C. You'll be just fine.
Okay. So that's the first thing. So with the rollout, is there any what do I want to say? Are any preliminary numbers in? How's it going thus far? We're into a month in,
Well, it actually just started about a week and a half ago, and they're out in Alaska.
Okay.
So those numbers, I have not personally seen the numbers yet, but they did start in remote Alaska. And in those cases, they did start door to door. That's why they started so early.
Okay.
But they're really not going to start with the rest of the continental United States until that March 12th, 13th. That's when the invitations will be sent. So we should see something in our mailboxes right around maybe the 16th or the 17th.
Okay. Now I also know that I don't know if you know, but I think there's a February, March, there's a curriculum that comes with the census that'll be in
Wow.
the system.
Really?
Are you versed on that?
The statistics in schools is coming from the Census Bureau. And so that's online with the census.gov. And that is something from K through 12 that teachers can use to introduce the census to their students so that they can turn around and take it home to their parents and make sure that they get counted.
Okay. And it'll be like, depending on the teacher.
It depends on the teacher and
how-
also on the grade as to what it is that they're actually showing. But it can be in their math class. They can do it in their history classes. There's lots of different ways to bring that information about the census to the students.
So you're saying that all school districts have access to this? Like,
Yes.
So everybody in the district could just be like, hey, mandatory, bring this home. You need to be on the census. You need to fill it out.
They could absolutely be that way. I mean, and it's been online for a good year. But sometimes, you have to go through the permission or the, what's going on with the superintendent or from the state level. So, but it's been there nationally. So that option is definitely there for the teachers.
Oh, excellent. Well, actually, we do have an elected member of the Newark Board of Education
Who, me?
with us. So, like, Ms. Norton, like, is this a possibility? I don't want to put you on the spot. I know you cannot
you
speak
don't wanna
for.
put me on the spot.
Well, okay, my bad. I did. But I know you cannot speak for the board.
This is not.
I know that you cannot speak for the board. You cannot speak, but in your
Yes.
capacity as an individual member.
Yes, it's because this is brought up, I have to repeat everything that you just said. Yes, my name is Amy Norton. I am a member of the Newark Board of Education. My opinions are not representative of the Newark Board of Education. I do not speak on behalf of the Newark Board of Education. And so now with that said,
Your own disclaimer, right?
I do.
And this is like an actual disclaimer that you always have to give.
And so yes, whenever, and just like a side note, but definitely going back to the census, the 2020 census, just so everyone knows, when there's a board member present, our general counsel advises us to say this, especially when we're speaking to the public. If people perceive us as a board member, then we do have to give that disclaimer. And so there are two people that can speak for the board, and that's the board president. And if the board president gives that duty to someone else, permission, and also the superintendent of the schools. And so, yes, and it's really something I'm ingrained in, and I'm like, I have to say this, and so don't judge me, everyone. But it's for my protection, the school district protection. But actually, in January, New Jersey, the Newark Board of Education accepted a resolution from the New Jersey School Board Association in recognition of the 2020 census. And so the board and board member Reginald Bledsoe put it forth for the board to accept this resolution to be supportive of the work that's going to be done for the 2020 census. And so we are most certainly heavily involved and acknowledge all the things that come with the census. And if people are not particularly aware of why is this important, this is important because there's monies that are associated with this to and through, especially for our schools. And so when we're thinking about, everyone knows the lunch applications. People say, oh, we have to fill out the lunch applications every time, or I don't qualify, so I'm not going to do it.
They do it like that.
But maybe that's how I do it. But it counts towards dollars that come back to the schools. And so whether you are your family, it has makes a certain amount of money, or it doesn't make a certain amount of money, or we have students that come from different demographics. Every count truly is important because that determines the monies that go to your schools. And the more accurate the count is, then the more appropriate the funds are going to go to the schools. And let's say, for instance, and I'm just giving like a ballpark number, I don't know this to be exact, but let's say every child gets about $1,000 based on the census, right? Just ballpark, not saying this is an exact figure, but say there's 50 children that go uncounted. So 50 times 1,000 is 50,000 that's not going to go to their schools just because they were not counted. And it does not matter if, and I know we have a population of immigrants, and sometimes immigrants don't want to open the door and get that information, but their count is very, very, very important.
Absolutely.
And so, and let's say that $1,000 is actually more than that. Let's say it's $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000. That's that much amount of money that is not being returned to our schools for programming that can stand for different things, but is going to go to the educational purposes of our children and our families. And so it's truly, truly important. And then from another scale, we're also talking about having voices being presented at the federal level. And so we're not getting an accurate count, then that means that we're not going to have that many people representing us in DC.
So let's kind of go down. I want to go down, but before we leave the school, there's an example that I always get in Orange. We've had trailers by some of our schools. Today I was at a community meeting and I said to them, there's 10 of you guys in the room. And if we did the census today and 5 people filled out the census and 5 didn't, and then you walk past Oakwood Avenue School and you're like, Donna, why are the students in them trailers? And I'm like, you have to, or Donna, why isn't that street paved or something like that?
Seriously.
So in terms of the services, how it really translates into monies for things to be done at local level, counting in the classroom, street, when grants come down, they use, can you speak to how, like, when we apply for different things and how those numbers are used, for when we make application, or whether these schools or whether it's the lunch program?
Sure. 2 things I was going to say, and I'm going to work backwards. In terms of the exercise that you give, I give a similar exercise when I'm speaking to different audiences where there's whatever group they're in. So since we're sitting in Newark, I will use Newark. The 2010 census response rate in Newark was 55% from the Census Bureau. So that means 45% were either undercounted or not counted, right?
45%.
So what I do, I have everybody stand up and pretend that they are the city of Newark, and then I have 45% of them sit down. And when the federal government, when I turn into the federal government and I'm handing out money only to the people that are standing, they realize what's wrong because all the money's only going to this side. But then what's worse, the other side that's standing, they think they've got it made. I said, no, because Newark is everybody, so you have to share.
Yeah.
And so that's why everybody doesn't get enough. Right. And they're like, oh, I want to keep mine. They're like, no, you got to share. So that's the type of that's the reason why everybody needs to be
and
counted.
like even to do that for this room alone. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in here, and you said 55. So we'll just do half plus 1.
Yeah, sure.
And so let's say it's just 4 people that get funding for their count, and the 3 other people don't. And like you said, that 4 people is accountable for everyone, all 7 people in this room.
That's right. That's right. So that's why we need to be counted. Now, in terms of the dollars, I brought something that we use a lot. It's from the George Washington Institute of Public Policy. It's called Counting for Dollars 2020. And in the state of New Jersey for 2016, we had over $22 billion come in for 55 different programs based largely on census dollars. Right. And so in terms of the schools, I was looking at the National School Lunch Program. So we had $261 million come in for that.
In Newark.
Well, no, that's in America.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's in New Jersey. I'm sorry. That's in the state of New Jersey. And I'm just naming some of the other ones that were there. Head Start, $163 billion. Yep, no, that's million. And then I just had to count. Okay, and then federal Pell Grant program. So now it's not just K through 12, but it's also college. For the federal Pell Grant program, we had 578 million and some change. But these are the numbers that are coming in, and that's based on the census count. So if we don't have enough, if our count is inaccurate and it's under, I use the federal Pell Grant program when I talk to college students, and I split them up the same way. And I'm saying, you're not going to, this isn't exactly, but you're not going to get everything you should out of that Pell Grant if everybody doesn't, if everybody is not counted, right? So if only half the class is there, you're holding on to your grant, but now you have to split it in half. And I know that's not exactly how it works, but they understand everybody really needs to be counted.
So, Jonathan, I'm thinking I got to get you to do an impromptu debate to count or not to count, or
to count or not to count.
What?
I want my money
to count.
That is the question.
I mean, you pull something together, you get your debaters out there, and something just so people can see, because even if they're talking from the perspective, this administration has really put the fear, especially in our
undocumented people, right?
We know that our undocumented are entitled to the resources of our community. If they walk in the hospital, they walk in the school. So if they're too fearful they want to participate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, right. Because I think that's the way. I think this is done deliberately, because a lot of the new question that was supposed to be on the census that asked for citizenship status, even though they couldn't, these are things to put fear in people who are our neighbors in our community and who use the resources that we have, right? And who need to be counted. Is there a special task force or a special program or a special initiative that actually looks at people who are undocumented to count on the census and make them feel more comfortable? No, this is not, immigration. This is not this is not going to hurt you. This is just simply to help. Is there anyone within these communities that is doing that, or is that something that we just need to do within our school system as well?
Take the push down. This is why they're hiring right now, and it's important that
they're hiring. I get paid.
Yes, and look, the pay rate in our area is pretty decent.
Now you talking about debaters? They can get paid. They say, "Oh, you can get money."
Well, wait.
I can talk and get paid.
Wait, that's no way.
Let me set the question up.
She said pause.
That's not how it works.
Employment and the census.gov is hiring, and how important it is for people in their community to work in their community for the census. Could that be the way in terms of a task force, or?
Probably not, and I'm tell you why. That's going to come more to the advocates like us and the people outside that are working outside of the census, because since the census is government, they can stop by saying the citizenship question is no longer on the census. That's about all they can say. Now, that's the message, but the damage is done.
Right.
People are afraid. Because
I didn't even know it was taken off.
Right. It was taken off in June by the Supreme Court last June. We did sign-ons and all kinds of things. So it came off at the end of June. And so, but people don't know. So the damage is done. So what we are doing is working through what you've heard. Maybe you've heard of complete count committees. Those are committees that are usually run at the city level, or maybe a demographic level, or even the state level, trying to work with specific groups of people to get that information out. Now, the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice is part of a larger group called the Census 2020 New Jersey Coalition. Each of us focuses on different groups. My group focuses largely on African Americans. There's another Advocates for Children of New Jersey focuses on children under 5. There's a group that Wind of the Spirit and Make the Road New Jersey are immigrant advocacy groups, and they would address that. We're all addressing it actually, because in the Black group we have immigrants,
right?
And so in the Latino groups we have immigrants. So all of us are giving that message.
Because
we're all out there saying it.
because a lot of the stereotypes are that if you're undocumented, you must only speak Spanish as opposed to Creole, as opposed to many African
Absolutely,
languages.
absolutely.
There are lots of Black undocumented. There and
Asian,
right,
It is
Asian
it.
undocumented.
Mhm.
I remember there was a story that there was a raid, and they got a lot of Irish immigrants, undocumented immigrants
Yeah,
in
about that.
Boston.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
And
yes.
right now, it's one of the largest population of undocumented is Asian group. So the
Well,
media.
Asia is the largest continent, and so that would they produce the most amount of people.
Exactly.
I would
Makes
guess.
sense from a numbers standpoint. But when the media puts out or concentrates on this group of people,
Right.
people tend to believe what they see. But going back to the complete count committee,
Yes.
going back,
Mhm.
can complete count committee still be established as we speak?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yes, they can.
So we see a need.
So
okay.
if you see a need and it's not being addressed, you have the opportunity to create that complete count committee.
And I think there's some trainings going on for complete count committees.
There are trainings, or you can request a training.
Okay.
You can request one. You can reach out to me or anyone on the Census 2020 New Jersey Coalition.
Mhm.
If you have contact with the Census Bureau, we can connect you with that. And you can do it yourself, or if not, they will come. We can train you. They can train you.
Okay.
But we definitely still have some pockets in the community.
And I definitely want to put that emphasis of so the census they're hiring and they're
Yes.
hiring community folks, and we briefly spoke about this, but it's a great opportunity for people of the community that live and work in the communities that they serve.
That's
And
right.
so if I, just for instance, the North Ward, the city of Newark has a high Hispanic population. And so having people from that community being hired through the census, then not only are you hiring people that potentially speak the same language as your neighbors, but you also have people that are familiar. If I'm knocking on
That's
someone,
it.
if I'm knocking on the door and I look through my window shade or my curtain, I'm like, I don't know that person.
You
I
wanna
am
see
not opening this door.
So and so's son from the store.
Exactly.
So
But
and
if I
so
see
from
my
church.
neighbor or the person that I always see at the supermarket,
That's right.
then I'm going to be a little bit more inclined to open up that door. And so just for our community purposes, yes, if you're going to have extra dollars to spend, extra dollars in your pocket, but it's also going to give people more inclination to open up that door.
That's right.
To have more of an accurate count. Because when I tell you not having 45%, that's half. We might as well just say 50.
Mm-hmm.
45%, that means straight down the line, our resources are already depleted.
You want to hear another stat about North?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Wait, no.
You're like you ain't heard nothing yet.
Yeah.
You get half the federal government money you're supposed to get, but that's not even the worst of it.
So Newark is number 1 in the nation.
Number one? We're number one? Oh, this is great. I'm listening.
5%
Oh.
of the African Americans living in hard to count census tracts.
Oh.
What does that mean?
Basically that means wait. You got it. Hold on. So watch this. So hard to count census tracts, that's just like little pockets of streets and things like that, right? And hard to count is defined as places where people
don't want to go.
Not respond. That's not.
Don't respond.
They don't respond to the census.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say
Okay.
go,
All right.
They don't
All right.
respond.
I was having a flashback.
So think about, there's all these places in Newark where people did not respond. And Newark, out of all the 100 largest cities in America, 96% of these places have African Americans in them in the city of Newark.
How does that get reported? And so you said, what Jonathan triggered, because was being reported as it's hard for people not to respond, or is it people writing down, oh, they didn't respond, but could they have easily not knocked on that door?
They didn't respond. So the only way you could respond in 2010 was by paper.
Yes.
And so if you didn't put in your paper, that means that, and if a whole bunch of people didn't turn in their paper, that area became called hard to count. Right. And that's when people had to come knock on the door. That's the definition.
Also, that's when people actually do come out and knock
that's
on
when
the door.
They come.
All right. Too, if I'm the person knocking at the door and then you still didn't open the door, then I have to report that my report says that Jonathan didn't open the door. Asia
it's
threw an
okay.
egg at me.
Wow, is you throwing eggs?
Right. Yeah,
Asia did not say
Wow.
However, my son might have.
Something might have happened at that residence, right?
So, no, he's like, he's a good boy. It's
Yeah.
okay.
We talked about briefly before we came on about when we were at one of the meetings. I had spoke to I think it's Mr. Chen,
Yes, Peter Chen.
about marketing opportunities. Like everybody in Orange goes to Sandwiches Unlimited. What if we were to get Sandwiches Unlimited wrapping paper that said census 20? That they wrap
Absolutely.
and it was like, oh, so
You've done that. That's like a thing.
Well, I've asked, and they're looking at it, so we can do some marketing dollars. So when people pick up things that this Panera's Cup will always say census 2020 and 2020, but I thought of what you just said, Adrian, when I was doing my Hallmark Christmas this year. First of all, I didn't know Rick Ross and Vanessa Williams. You ever see that daughter? They were just like her. I was like their daughter, but that's another thing. But she played in a movie, and it was a neighborhood movie. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that stood out about this particular movie is that it was a neighborhood. And she knocked on the door, and then whatever her character, let's say Asia, hey Asia, how can I help you? So as soon as they seen her come to the door, so I'm thinking in terms of marketing, they need to do a commercial where they can show where the person who works there, and because she's not like, hey, what are you here doing? Oh, come and do this. So you working for the census. It has to be, because we're a very visual community.
That's
now.
true.
And that type of commercial will really help to show how, one, it's important for you to have the job, and how the relationship could be if the person who works in the community is the person who's doing the knocking on the door.
And you can do
Jonathan
that.
Got a joke. He over
But you can actually do that. I mean, there's people. Social media is one of the the biggest ways that you can reach African Americans in the Black community. You can put podcasts up, and census.gov does have their own videos, and you can put PSAs, and you can put something at the end. But you can create your own.
We can do our own.
You can put something up there, absolutely.
Yeah. And things have been in the works, and so I do know outside of some of the schools there are census advertisements.
I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted about whether I should tell this joke because there's a little bit of truth in it, but it's just so shameful. Like, I think we can solve the 45% problem. I'm throwing this out there. I'm real conflicted about what I'm about to say. But if we had the advertisement and we did all this stuff and we did it at Popeyes and every Popeyes all over every Black community, maybe we would get counted. I mean, maybe. I'm conflicted. But I think you talked about Sandwich Unlimited. I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. Panera, yes, Panera is a good idea. But Popeyes, I think we might have solved the problem.
I don't like that joke.
Listen, I'm from Baltimore, but you give me
right.
At least something good could come from it. So let's make something good come from it. We have a voter registration form.
That's a funny thing, because when the Popeyes, that was one of the things that people put it with the voting.
I heard that. Yes.
So
actually, there was a news story. I'm not too sure where the child was, but during we're really talking about this. During one of the line, there was a line outside of Popeyes where people get their chicken sandwich, and a young man actually was registering people to vote in the line, and so maybe you do have a point.
But it wasn't my idea. It wasn't my idea.
Okay, we're moving fast. We got a lot. Just as well as there is a curriculum for the schools, there's also a faith-based. So I think there's going to be a day where the census has a whole track to go to the church, and so that the churches can kind of send out a message. Right. Are you familiar with that? We're going to move everybody from the room.
We're not doing too well. Yes. Okay. There are definitely, there's an impact. The clergy will be focusing on this. I can't remember the name of it, but I believe it's that last Sunday in March that I should say that weekend, because they have religious services Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
And so they are,
And Friday.
and Friday, yeah, that whole section of time, they're looking at different houses of worship to bring this to their congregations right before Census Day.
And again, people can get all this on census.gov.
That's on census.gov, and we have also, I would say, as people need to pay attention to what their local complete count committees are doing, because there's specific things going on there as well. There's another organization called Faith in Public Life that we've been partnering with to create census ambassadors to talk at different church houses of worship as well.
So I wanted to go back, because you said a little bit about, I'm just going down my list, and I want to see how perhaps the lack of counting has already affected. Would you say that hospitals are something that the reason that we've seen so many hospitals close in our community, would that have any, maybe not?
It could have something to do with it, but it's not definite.
It's not
I asked
definite.
the same question not too long
so it's
ago.
not a,
You can't do a one-to-one on that one,
Okay.
because there's a lot of reasons why the hospitals are closed.
And so, and now you did say with the 2010 census, we lost representation.
That's
right.
We're talking about stability now. So can you talk
That's
to
right.
that? Okay.
So actually, since 1990, we lost 2 representatives.
Just for the sake of our listeners, and they're pretty well versed, but just in case someone may not know, what do you mean by representatives and losing? Just explain that background.
So we have House representatives, and so Congressman Payne, of who we're speaking on his show, he is one of now 12 House representatives that represent New Jersey in Congress. And so 10 years ago, we had 13 representatives. In 1990, we had 14. Based on our census data, which showed that we decreased in our population, we lost those 2 over that time frame.
So how come New Jersey Turnpike is getting more traffic?
Wow, fair.
Or the Parkway, that's not
Because
representative.
some of these people might not be getting counted.
Exactly.
So-
Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that?
And not only is it the person like Congressman Payne, but we also have electoral votes. So to not go way down a rabbit hole,
No, let's go. Let's do this. Go all the way down.
For every House representative, there is an electoral vote. So, there's the Electoral College that votes for our next president of the United States. We have 1 fewer vote than we did in 1990. I say
2.
I'm sorry, 2 since 1990, 1 since 2010. So we need to maintain what we have, because we're represented less now than we were before. And I think now more than ever, we need as many votes as possible.
Yes,
down
we
there.
do.
Fair.
So we're talking about stability. We may not be in a position to gain one, but we want to stay.
We sure don't want to
where we
lose
are.
one.
Right. And with what you're talking about, 45%, we probably
North
are in a
alone.
position to gain one.
Yeah.
Like if we're not being counted by 40, like if you double the population in these areas, could that add up to like 700,000 people?
And I can definitely say from like the school perspective, our numbers of students have increased over the past 2 years. They have not decreased. And so from children alone, with children come parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. And so from a child perspective, back in 2010, if we were 45% undercount, then however many years, 10 years later, we've increased our population.
Right.
Then that actually, we really could gain more representation.
Like that's a thing in terms of like, because there are so many people who are undercounted and they're not counted for and it's so egregious. If there was mass counting, like if we even got the number up to 70%.
Yeah.
It would make a huge difference, especially in the city of Newark and
surrounding areas.
Areas. I mean, Essex County, so I said number 1 was Newark, number 2 is Jersey City in the nation.
Okay.
And then if you look at the Latinx population, they're number 2 and 3 in the nation.
Wait.
Jersey City and Newark.
So you're telling me the top 2 locations in the nation that was undercount, We're in New Jersey.
And really next to each other, Newark and Jersey City, in the whole United
In
States.
the whole entire.
And what do we say, in terms even from an elected standpoint, that if Essex County was to stand up and vote at 100%, so is Essex County vote, so is the state vote.
Right.
That's the
If
truth.
Essex County would vote at 100%, and generally speaking, we come in at 30% when we vote, and we have to exercise our numbers, and we don't. But with that, we're still talking. If anybody knows anything about Jersey, that our prisons, that most persons that are locked up, all of our prison systems are in South Jersey.
Ah.
So.
Oh, that means the count is for South Jersey, because they're counting prisoners. So you might be from Newark. If you get locked up and sent to South Jersey gets the money, not to be used on you, but because
That's right.
Right. Wow.
You got it. So what Jonathan just said is right. From the congressional point of view, so I just talked about Congressman Payne being a House representative at the congressional level.
Right.
So what you just said is absolutely right. The census is going to count people who are incarcerated where they are incarcerated.
Wow.
But we have some better news.
Because you've been giving us we were number one. I got happy.
Yeah, no, I
was like, yes.
I told you, no,
Number one in the wrong.
Number one in the wrong way. So the good news is that on the state level, very recently, just last month, Governor Murphy signed a bill into law against prison gerrymandering. So when we come back to redistricting from the state level, so then let's see, like Senator Rice, okay, so as an example of someone who's there, or Senator Ruiz, those districts now they will count those that are incarcerated from their last home address. Okay,
Yeah.
So at least we get it from the state level. We're not going to get it from the congressional level, but we will get it from the state level.
And the messed up thing about that is, I believe the 3/5 rule was also about census counting and resources. And they're like, hey, you got all those slaves in the South. We should count them because knowing they didn't have any rights, right? Knowing they were locked up, knowing they were they couldn't do anything. They were trying to get money off the backs of Black people who had no freedom. And now we're talking about people trying to get money off the backs of Black people who have no freedom. We need reparations from Papa. He gets so much from us, and we get so little back.
With that analogy, is there a study that shows that the census, what years were the best count? Everybody looked at how we've been as we've been counting since the beginning, the ebb and flows, and
That I would have to come back to.
Okay.
I know that we've been doing this since the 1800s. There was a big fire in 1890. Other than that, everything should be straightforward.
Okay.
I have a question, because I keep going back to the 45% that is
Right.
undercounted, because that number really is
Right.
Wow. How were they able to determine 45% were undercounted if the count for the census was inaccurate? And so I would just
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. So the statistic we're moving forward with is actually 55% did not respond. Now, of course, we know 55 from 145, but when we're saying 55% did not respond,
No, you said 45 did not respond. 55 did respond.
55 did respond.
Yeah.
55 did respond. And so at that point, that's when the census, the census enumerators came to the door and at least attempted to count people. Now, some of them were counted, and then my understanding is that those that aren't counted, there's a word for it, but it basically, they have to do some estimating.
Do they do statistical extrapolation? Is that a thing?
It's similar to that. There's some word that's in the statistical area where, they know who's in the house on the left, the house on the right, then they kind of estimate who's in that house in the middle that didn't get counted. And that's kind of where they get their numbers.
So they know that someone's there. How come not just count it?
still know what's in the house.
They can only estimate. I mean, yeah, because if you're only looking through your blinds, okay, you got one. You don't know who's in the closet, under the bed. You don't. So they kind of, they don't know. So it's just an estimate.
So the best that you could do in terms of estimate is that they do try to at least statistically account for some of them. So even though there are 45% that don't get counted, they estimate, and so it's not. It might is the number that we don't get in terms of money as big as 45%, or is it significantly less, or could we ever know?
It's not a perfect right. So there's a little noise in the number. So there's a number that's along with that 55% that did respond that shows the number of population, but it's not perfect.
Yeah,
that's the thing. They and in some ways you don't want it to be perfect because they need to add a little bit of noise because they aggregate the information and send it up to the president.
Okay.
So you don't want the president to know exactly where you live, right?
Oh, not this one. No.
So they say, okay, generally speaking, on Broad Street, you have this many people living here, but you don't want to say in this house you have 20 people. And by the way, that's a myth that we need to break too, because from a landlord perspective, if you have people doing subletting and everything like that,
right,
and you're only supposed to have 6 people and you have 15, the landlord will not get that information. It's not coming back that way.
Right.
So, that's something that's important because a lot of people are afraid to count everyone in the house. But you need to count everyone in the house for the reasons we've already discussed.
Right.
That information is not coming back to say that house has too many people in it.
Okay.
I remember
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things. The immigrants are the Latinx community and some of the African communities. They're concerned because they have a lot of big families and they all stay together. But yeah, gotta count it.
Oh, okay.
I remember with the 2010 census that Bloomberg, specifically for New York, he came back. So let's say the numbers came in at 50 people. He came back and made an appeal and said, no, we have 60 people. And he prevailed and he was able to do.
Because he has a lot of money?
That's one. What is that process?
Because I personally saw his commercial on the Super Bowl and I was like,
yeah,
he's got a commercial?
He's got a lot of
and he cares about black people.
Yeah, you had a black woman.
Right. Both him and Trump.
When he was the mayor,
I don't talk about that.
On the basis of New York because he knew that there was an undercount and he prevailed on it. Do you know how?
It can be done. I've heard it's very difficult. I know there was a city in Essex County that did that 10 years ago because
which city?
Yeah.
It was Irvington.
Irvington.
I don't have all the details, but hi neighbors. But I do know that there was a section that maybe it was a new development or something like that. But they knew they were supposed to get their invitation to take the census, and they did not. And so they were able to protest or at least talk about it, and then they were able to get that count updated.
So the final, when they send you the first count, that is not the final count because then you can, I'm going to use the word amend, but that's not necessarily the correct term I'm thinking.
That's pretty much it. I mean, it's very difficult once they've come through to talk to you, to get everything counted to go back. That's a challenge that is
but it's worth
difficult.
It because in my perspective, if you have it's a new development and let's say you have about 20 students that moved into that development, then so who's going to pay to educate these children?
It's worth it. I mean, and I don't know if there's finances behind it. That part, I don't know. So I'm sure nothing's free.
Money's connected to everything.
If you can keep it going, it's definitely worth the fight.
So to that, so we have the census in 2020. Tell me, because now scams and frauds are at an all-time high. So you're giving out information. I know that Census Ago have really spoken about the fraudulent part. We won't do this, and this. So how the person know to decipher between the census and the scam person.
Okay, all right. Fair. So there's a few things. One, the census form has roughly 8 or 9 questions on it. They will only ask you your name, your date of birth, your age, your gender. They're not going to ask you where you live because it came to your residence. And they'll ask whether you rent or own your home. And after that first person, they're going to ask similar questions and then just ask, how are you related to the first person? You say, that's my mother, that's my roommate. You know, they give you a whole bunch of things. Oh, and your race and your ethnicity.
They ask age questions?
The age and your date of birth.
Okay, that's how they do it.
So that's it. So they don't ask for money ever. They don't ask for your social security number or your bank account. If you hear any of those things, those are scams.
Mace them. If they do that, hit them with the mace.
Or just throw the egg that Jonathan had accused me of, you know.
I didn't accuse you of any throwing. That was the good councilwoman Donna. Donna Williams. Donna K. Williams.
It's honorable. It was Jonathan.
Well, the other part of it is now that's on paper or online. So if somebody comes to your door, it should only be a person from the Census Bureau, and they have a badge, and on census.gov they show you what the badge should look like. So if that's not them, they should have a tablet and they're going to be able to just ask the questions and everything. So if it's not that person, then that's a scammer as well.
No, I was gonna just ask, is there I've never heard of a history of census scammers. Is that a thing?
Well, now it is. Well, actually, they've said it has happened in the past, but now it definitely is, because since everything, they're pushing people to do it online. There's a lot of people that are concerned, because just like they're regularly concerned about giving information online, that they're not going to want to put this information online either. And so that's another reason why trusted messengers like us or people in the complete count committees need to talk to people about this online version. And the seniors, we really need to help them, because a lot of them, they're not putting anything on there now. So if they want to, add to this, they're saying, I'm not doing that. So we need to, and the way they get scammed is still the same way they would get scammed in the census.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So, and I'll just tell you that they're just real savvy now, so we have to be careful. You just mentioned one question, but I did not ask. As big as the citizen question, there's another question, the race question on there. In the 70s, we all tried to assimilate and be Black. Now, it's I'm African American, I'm Jamaican American, my dad's of Jamaican descent. So there's the question of breakout, Black, I'm Jamaican. Should we, what happens if I put that, I'm a proud Jamaican, and then I don't put that I'm Black? How does
or
that,
like other, if you write
other, or what does that do?
So here's how this will look. So there's 2 questions. There's one for ethnicity, and it's going to say Hispanic or non-Hispanic. That's it. Once you answer that, then it comes over to race, and like you said, it's going to have Black, white, Asian, and there's a list, and then there's a blank spot where you can put whatever you want. If you choose, and you can choose as many as you feel comfortable choosing. So the one issue is, if there's something that's coming directly for Black people and is looking for Black people, you have now decreased that number by all these different nationalities you've called yourself.
Now, what would that be? Because are there things that are given based on race now, like in terms of federal dollars, et cetera? Like, do those questions about African American or Latino American, like, how does that correlate with dollars?
I believe they're still out there. I'm literally looking at this list as we're talking. I might not be able to answer that directly right this second, but I do see there's certain loans and certain activities that are here. Without seeing the actual grant, I can't tell you exactly what it is. So
that would be like funding for minority business loans or
There
funding
you go.
for,
So if
like-
you did something, that's perfect. So something like minority business loans or something that may go to historically Black colleges and universities, there are some things that are going directly to them and the sciences and stuff like that. So if they're looking for minority anything, they're looking at the numbers based on the census data.
Okay.
And so then if you have, if there's 7 of us in here, 4 of us say we're Black, 3 of us say we're
Melanated
something
Americans.
else. Right. And even though we all look Black,
They see
We-
Black, they don't see Asian,
right.
Jamaican,
So you, right.
Dominican, yeah.
But if they're looking at that, and then they'll just like when we did the other exercise, they'll say, oh, okay, well, there's 4 Black people here, and we'll divvy this based on this. And in that case, we don't have to share. That's the difference.
Okay.
So that way, then it's, if you have whatever ethnicity you have, if there's a program for you, then you'll have that. But the numbers are not, it's going to be more split. And so that's what the impact would be.
I have a question because you brought up HBCUs, but just in general for colleges and universities, those students, where are they counted? Are they counted towards their home address, or are they counted
Fair.
towards their the university or college that they are attending? Just out of curiosity.
Well, all college students, if they live in dormitories, they are counted in the dormitories.
Got it.
Mm.
And if they live off the yard, then they will receive an invitation just like we will off the yard, and then they do the count.
Did you go to HBCU?
Yes, I
Because you
did.
said off the yard.
On the hill, off the yard,
But
yes.
they do have that question, is this temporary or permanent? Do they have that question?
They have, there's a question
These
just of whether
students-
you rent or own. That's the
Okay.
only thing.
I thought
So
that
they
was
would just say rent.
I thought there was a question, is there a student or they 6 months a year?
Mm.
No?
Yeah, but how it seems, how you explained it, it's the university that will be reporting it,
That's right.
and not the students living in the dorms reporting, like filling it out. It will be the university.
The census
Got it.
has an operation called group quarters, and they count the dormitories, they count the prisons, they count nursing homes, all the same way. They have the administrators do the count.
Got it.
So as we wrap up, I do want to just give a thing, you have to come back.
I'd love to.
we
This
know
was
Absolutely.
fun. This was
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have to have an Institute of Social Justice, because you guys have a March 17 roll out where persons
Yes.
that are on parole and probation can actually register to vote.
Yes.
All right.
We're
So,
excited.
and March 17th is the first day of registration. So
83,000 people.
there we go.
Wow.
State of New
Jonathan,
Jersey,
we have
yes.
to put that on the calendar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But even so, they're going to become big advocates for whatever the concerns that they have as being persons that are living on parole or probation, and knowing the facts that they're coming out and being counted and things like that. So we probably want to even get somebody who is currently a new registered in here as well.
Absolutely.
So and that's March 17th. Everybody remember that. And today, No Wearing Red, Heart Healthy Day, and particularly for
Yes.
women,
Yeah.
that Grey's Anatomy did a great one where she was a doctor, she had to advocate, she was having a heart attack. And we've
Mhm.
seen how women have to advocate. We've seen it with Beyonce, we've seen it with Serena. So I just want to say it takes this time to realize that women, we tend to do a lot. We take care of everybody, but it's most important so that we can continue to do that we take care of ourselves. With that being said, as you begin to exit, we have to ask you, what is your favorite hip hop song or hip hop artist?
That one, I'm sorry.
That's the point, though.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
I'm
You're like, you brought me on here.
I'm an
I gave you
80s
some
baby.
good
I-
news
I'm
and
an
bad
80s
news.
and 90s baby. So, yeah, everybody, of course, just blew right out of my mind. But I like Eric B. Rakim. I like, oh gosh, well, I love LL Cool J. Can't get away from him. There's a bunch.
Okay,
There's
you
so
got
many.
two good
There's
What was
so
your
many.
favorite LL song?
Okay.
Curiosity.
Doing it.
That wasn't it. But
Okay, sorry.
it wasn't that.
You always say
Um, I need love.
Okay.
Okay.
So you
Oh, and this month of, February, the
February,
love.
Valentine's Day.
Day.
Okay.
I need love, so we need love with these census counts. So
Yep.
Patricia, we're gonna let you have the last word because this is a very important topic. You can leave us what is it you want to say about the census?
Yeah, D-Day.
Now I hear what
I know
I
he's totally on it.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for having me here. This was a lot of fun, and but I do want to encourage the listening audience to please, when you get your invitation, just go ahead and take it. Be counted. You count. You matter. Every single person in your household matters, and just help us get this number up to where we need to be so we can be properly represented.
And Institute of Social Justice, they want to reach out to get information and contact you. How do they do that?
You can reach me at pwilliamson@njisj.org or just visit our website at www.njisj.org.
Thank you. Agent Investment.
So missing 45% of federal dollars is unacceptable. And for the state of our schools, and I'm just going to talk about our facilities, is we have roofs that need to be replaced.
That's right.
Have elevators that need to be fixed. We have
potholes out of there.
And so there's just how you come out and vote. The importance of voting. This count is very important to your child's education, to the road, because I have a car, and so if I had a pothole, I gotta get my wheel changed. But seriously, how it affects the everyday of our lives. Every count truly matters.
What I will say in closing is that your vote counts, and what I want, in the midst of all of this confusion and fear, remember that power is to the people. So when the people stand up, the people that work for you, from the president down to your council person, we work for you. It's not the other way around.
Well,
so hold us accountable,
That's
make
right.
us do what we're supposed to.
Help us.
And the more the people stand up, the more that the work of the people are going to be done. It's going to be done.
All right. Money, respect, and power.
All right. That was All Politics Are Local, coming to the end of the Payne Report. All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. We're going to come right back after a brief break, and we're going to come back with Asia Norton and two principals and
Actually,
three principals. Oh, she's here.
Yes.
Okay, so we have the three Newark principals: the principals of Weequahic High School, the principal of Shabazz, and the good principal of University High School. We're starting this huge push for getting kids to come to our schools, and I believe they're going to come back and tell you why your child should come to theirs. So this is All Politics Are Local. We're going to come back in a second, and DJ Rhino is going to do DJ Rhino magic, as DJ Rhino always does. So DJ Rhino, I'm not even going to ask if you're ready. Just, thank you.
Good job. Fun time. Look at me do it. No,
Just
they don't stop.